One of the most beloved detectives to ever set foot on St. Marie walked away from the island and straight into one of the messiest scandals British television saw that year. Bullying allegations, furious denials, a dance partner in tears, and a headline war that had nothing to do with murder mysteries at all. For years, it was the single most watched drama on the entire BBC. Let's start with the scandal nobody saw coming. Danny John-Jules played Officer Dwayne Myers from the very first episode, a beloved original cast member who spent 7 series on the island before leaving to chase something he'd missed for 20 years, the stage. He told reporters plainly that he wanted his razzmatazz back. Nothing sinister, nothing bitter, just an actor craving live performance again. What came next, though, nobody saw coming. Months later, Danny landed on Strictly Come Dancing, and it turned into one of the messiest exits in the show's history. Reports surfaced claiming he'd bullied his professional dance partner during rehearsals. He denied every word of it, later calling the entire show dirty, filthy, and accusing producers of manufacturing the story to push him out. His partner publicly defended him, saying she never once felt bullied. The headlines didn't care. A quiet island detective, gone from St. Marie for less than a year, and suddenly one of the most talked about controversies on British television. He came back to St. Marie eventually for a Christmas special, welcomed home like nothing had ever happened. Let's start with the fact that changes everything. The island of St. Marie doesn't exist. It never did. Every murder, every twist, every sun-soaked reveal you've watched for 15 years happened on a real island called Guadeloupe, a French territory tucked into the southern Caribbean. That instantly recognizable police station isn't a police station at all. It's a church, the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul, standing quietly in a small fishing village called Deschais. And Catherine's Bar, where the detectives sit and talk through what just happened, is a real, working restaurant called Le Madras, right by the water in that same village. Fans have flown across the world chasing a place that was invented in a writer's room, only to find something real waiting for them instead. The island was always there. The name was the only thing that was ever fiction. Now here's why the very first detective walked away, and it's a far more human story than fans ever guessed. D.I. Richard Poole, played by Ben Miller, was stiff and formal. The kind of man who wore a full wool suit no matter the weather, because that's simply who the character was underneath it all. The official explanation for Miller's exit after 2 series sounds tidy enough. Creative differences. The character had run its course. But the real story is a lot simpler, and honestly, a lot more sympathetic. A wool suit, worn through months of Caribbean humidity, year after year, is not something a human body is built to endure. Ben Miller has said it plainly himself, that he spent most of his time on one of the most beautiful sets in television, quietly and completely soaked through. There's something almost sad about that. An actor stationed somewhere, millions of people would dream of visiting, dreading every single scene because of the costume he had to wear into it. That's the first detective gone. The second one left for a reason that hits differently, especially if you've ever had to choose between a job you love and the people you love more. Kris Marshall took over as D.I. Humphrey Goodman, and viewers adored him almost instantly. His warmth, his clumsy charm, his genuine joy in the role. He stayed 3.5 series before he made the hardest call of his career. Filming this show swallows about 6 months of every single year, all of it spent far from home. For an actor raising young children back in the UK, that distance eventually stops feeling like a trade worth making, no matter how good the sunshine looks on camera. Marshall has said, simply and without any drama, that he wasn't seeing enough of his kids. So he gave up one of the most envied filming locations in the world, walked away from steady fame, and went home to be present for the years he couldn't get back. Death in Paradise has been running since 2011, over 100 episodes deep. Here's something most loyal viewers have never realized about the show they've watched for over a decade. Death in Paradise isn't a purely British production. It's a genuine partnership between the BBC and France 2, the French national broadcaster. And that single fact explains almost everything unusual about the show's DNA. It explains why the fictional island carries both British and French colonial history, why some characters slip easily into French, and why the series has performed just as strongly with audiences across the channel as it has at home. The BBC brought the classic, comforting British detective formula. France 2 brought the setting, and an entirely new audience most British fans never even knew existed. Together, almost quietly, they built one of the most successful international co-productions in British television history. It's part of why the show feels a little different from other British crime dramas too. Warmer somehow, a touch more romantic, less interested in grit and more interested in people. That tone didn't happen by accident. It came from two very different television traditions sitting down and agreeing to build something new together. People love calling this show cozy and undemanding, comfort television and nothing more. The numbers tell a much bigger story than that label allows. For several years running, Death in Paradise was the single most watched drama on all of BBC One, drawing more than 10 million viewers to a single episode. Numbers most prestige dramas can only imagine. Critics dismissed it as unremarkable. 10 million people a week, every single week, clearly felt otherwise. And now, the fact that might genuinely catch you off guard. Fans have spent 15 years adoring a small green lizard named Harry, who lives at the detective's beachside home and turns up again and again like a quiet, familiar friend. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. Harry was never real, not for one single episode. He's entirely computer-generated, added digitally during editing, and despite what most fans assume, he hasn't even appeared in every episode without fail. When he was missing from the show's landmark 100th episode, viewers flooded social media, genuinely upset, and the episode's director had to step in and publicly explain what happened. Sit with that for a moment. A lizard that was never alive, and people still noticed, still cared, the second he was gone. That's not a small thing. That's 15 years of a show quietly earning an audience who pays attention to every last detail, real or not. 7 years after his character was stabbed to death with an ice pick in the opening minutes of Series 3, a killing so sudden and brutal that longtime fans still bring it up as one of the darkest moments the show has ever aired. Ben Miller came back to St. Marie for a secret cameo in the show's 10th anniversary series, and by his own account, it wasn't what he expected to feel. The moment he landed in Guadeloupe, before he was even due on set, he drove straight there anyway. Not for the paycheck, not for the fans watching at home. He simply wanted to see the people he'd spent 3 years of his life beside. The same man who left because his body couldn't survive the heat came back years later, uninvited, just to stand among them again. That's not the ending you'd expect from an actor whose exit was, on the surface, about something as small as a costume. The show has grown large enough now to build its own extended universe. Beyond Paradise followed Kris Marshall's character after he left the island for good, launching on BBC One and earning a quick renewal. It swapped the Caribbean heat for the English countryside, but kept the same cozy, comforting murder of the weak bones that made the original so beloved in the first place. A fictional island that never existed somehow gave birth to a very real hit, set thousands of miles away from where it all began. And then came the twist that genuinely upset fans for months. In 2024, word spread that Don Warrington's character, Commissioner Selwyn Patterson, the longest-serving cast member on the entire show, was leaving St. Marie for good due to a family crisis. The reaction was immediate, and it was overwhelmingly negative. People assumed it was permanent, and they grieved it like it was. Then, Series 15 returned to the BBC in early 2026, and there he was again, right where he belonged. Warrington later explained there had never been any real drama behind it at all. It was simply a storyline the writers wanted to explore, nothing more calculated than that. What moved him, he admitted, was discovering just how deeply people actually cared, saying that after 15 quiet years playing the same steady role, it felt genuinely nice to finally know he was liked. Put the show's turnover in real perspective for a second. 15 series, 5 completely different lead detectives: Ben Miller, Kris Marshall, Ardal O'Hanlon, Ralf Little, and now Don Gilet, who holds the role today. No other long-running British detective drama has replaced its lead this many times and still managed to grow its audience through every single change. When Kris Marshall left, the producers needed someone who could hold both the comedy and the mystery in one hand, and they found that in Ardal O'Hanlon, best known internationally as Dougal from the beloved Irish sitcom Father Ted. A comedian first, he brought a warmth and timing that made his version of the detective entirely his own, before eventually passing the role to Ralf Little.